Hello everyone, welcome back. In previous lecture, we explained about the yield condition and stress strain relationship. Now this is the last chapter of this subject we are going to take, that is about the theory of slip lines. And in theories of slip line, first we will discuss the introduction to theory of slip line. Then there is topic of upper bound theorem and lower bound theorem. Only three most important topics are there. So let us start. First, theory of slip line. So first, what is slip lines? So basically, slip lines are in fact directions of maximum shear stress in the body undergoing plastic deformation. When a body is supposed to go in a plastic deformation, when there is maximum shear stress, so in that direction slip line occurs. For the plane strain deformation, there are equations along with the yield conditions. Von Mises or Tresca for plane strain case are solvable for three variables. There are three variables: sigma xx, sigma yy, and tau xy. Now the partial differential equation along with yield condition in plane strain are in fact hyperbolic partial deformation equations. Their solution admits discontinuities. Directions of maximum shear are characterized directions of these equations. Therefore, slip may take place along the planes of maximum shear. In fact, the slip takes place on the entire maximum shear stress surface. However, uh, there is in the figure, this is the figure, only shows a cross section of a body. So we see lines of maximum shear stress, that is called as slip line. Okay. Now if we take the direction of maximum shear as the coordinate direction and transform the equation along this direction, these equation will get converted into algebraic equations, and this is in tune with the general properties of hyperbolic partial differential equations as here. So let us discuss about that. In case of plane strain, the stresses are sigma xx, sigma yy, and tau xy, and the function of x and y are the epsilon zz dot p is equal to epsilon p x z is equal to epsilon p y z is equal to 0. Now, according to plane stress strain relation, this epsilon p zz is proportional to sigma zz dash. Since this epsilon p zz is equal to 0, this sigma zz dash will become 0, and the equation for that is sigma zz dash is equal to 2 times sigma zz minus sigma xx minus sigma yy divided by 3. Now, so here, so we can write sigma zz is equal to sigma xx plus sigma yy by 2. Also, the shear stresses tau xz is equal to tau yz is equal to 0. With these conditions of equilibrium, the equations earlier of the one Mises can be reduced to d by dx of sigma xx plus d by del y tau x y equal to 0. And another equation is del by del x tau x y plus del by del y sigma yy is equal to 0. For two-dimensional cases, as in the figure, the stresses sigma xx, then sigma tau xy and sigma yy may be written in terms of plane stress, that is sigma 1 and sigma 2. So sigma xx can be written as sigma xx is equal to sigma 1 plus sigma 2 by 2 plus sigma 1 minus sigma 2 by 2 into cos 2 theta, while sigma yy is written as sigma 1 plus sigma 2 by 2 minus sigma 1 minus sigma 2 by 2 cos 2 theta, and tau x y is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 2 divided by 2 sin 2 theta. So this is in terms of principal stresses, where theta is the angle that x axis makes with the principal stress sigma 1. Because of plane strain conditions, this epsilon 3 dot p is equal to 0, and according to from the plastic strain straight relation, we get the value of sigma 3 as sigma 1 plus sigma 2 by 2. Both the yield conditions, von Mises and Tresca's, reduces to the same function in plane strain condition. This is illustrated below. For equation, it is clear that the relative magnitude of principal strain are in order of sigma 1 greater than sigma 3 greater than sigma 2. The principal stresses sigma 3 being the middle stress, Tresca's condition becomes as sigma 1 minus sigma 2 by 2 equal to capital K, that is the yield strength of material in shear. Also, if we substitute in one Mises yield condition in terms of principal stresses, so for one Mises we can write sigma 1 minus sigma 2 whole square plus sigma 2 minus sigma 3 plus sigma 3 minus sigma 1 square equal to 2 times sigma 0 square and is equal to 6 k square. And we get from this, only if we consider two stresses, sigma 1 minus sigma 2 is equal to 2 times k. And hydrostatic pressure may be written as minus p is equal to sigma 1 plus sigma 2 plus sigma 3 divided by 3. So only for two stresses it will be sigma 1 plus sigma 2 divided by 2, and substituting these values In the above equation we get the sigma xx is equal to minus p plus k cos 2 theta, while sigma yy is equal to minus p minus k cos 2 theta, and tau xy is equal to k sin 2 theta. So we substituted in the principal stress equation. Now by substituting these values, these three values, in the earlier the del type equation, we can get the equation as del by del x minus p plus 2k sin 2 theta d theta by dx plus 2k cos 2 theta d theta by dy equal to 0. Another equation 2k cos 2 theta del theta by del x plus del minus p by del y plus 2k sin 2 theta del theta by del y equal to 0. Now if we rotate our coordinate axis figure, so if we put theta is equal to pi by 4 from sigma 1 direction, which is also the direction of maximum shear stress, we get equation del by del x p plus 2k theta equal to 0 and del by del y p minus 2k theta equal to 0. In order to distinguish between the direction of maximum shear and general coordinate x and y, we replace x by alpha and y by beta, so which are rewritten, which can be rewritten here. The x is written as alpha and y is written as beta. Now these equations are in fact the equations in which the coordinate are taken in the direction of maximum shear. The right hand side of equation is 0, which means the expression p plus 2k theta is not a function of alpha, but it may be function of beta. So similar from that equation we get that the p minus 2k theta is constant with respect to beta. So the equation may be therefore rewritten as this: the p plus bk theta is the function of beta, while this is the function of alpha, and that is the constant along the, this is the constant along the alpha line and this is constant along the beta line. So the equations are algebraic equations obtained from the partial differential by simply changing the coordinate system in cooperation yield condition. Therefore of this algebraic equation along with the given boundary condition is same as the solution obtained by the partial differential of equation along with the yield condition and the given boundary condition. And these equations are called as Henke's stress equations, and they were first derived in year 1923. And the directions of alpha and beta lines are can be shown in the figure. This is the alpha line and this one is the beta line. The alpha and beta line with respect to the algebraic major axis sigma 1 and sigma 2, the alpha line is at 45 degree from the sigma 1 in clockwise direction. This is the 45 degree in the clockwise direction, while the beta line is the at 90 degree with the alpha line. It is with at the beta line is at the 90 degree with the alpha line in the anti-clockwise, counterclockwise or anti-clockwise direction. In other words, we can say that the major principal strain line in the first quadrant of the alpha beta right hand coordinate system. So this is about the theory of slip line. So this is about the theories of slip line. Now let us take example of slip line solution. So in order to illustrate the application of slip line in metal forming problems, we take the case of extrusion with 50% reduction here in the figure with frictionless cylinder walls and dies. There are frictionless cylinder walls and die. The solution illustrated in the figure A was given by the Hill, and the figure B shows the velocity diagram or hodogram. The slip line field consists of two circular quadrants. There are two circular quadrants with circular and radial lines as the slip lines. The slip line meet the center axis and the surface of container at the 45 degree, and the triangular zone, that is the ADC, from here, this is the ADC triangular zone, AD and C, and RQS shown H by are the dead zone, and the deformation and the slip line field is symmetric about the center line, and hence we need to consider only the upper half region. So this is the slip line and hydrograph for extrusion process with 50% reduction. So this is how it is done, the theory of slip line. So this is it for today's lecture. Thank you very much for listening me carefully. Have a nice day.